Hello, what's going on, everybody? How we doing today? Bringing you today a new feature match. This is Mono Earth on the left versus Flans on the right. It is Ice Earth Flans on the right, piloted by TCG Tacos himself. So, couple things. This is gonna be me just doing a quick, overview of what's going on. Guys, walk you through the plays and stuff, and pretty much overall the main concept of these decks, right? But the main reason we even decided to do this, right, is because these are some of our this is old footage. I'm not gonna lie, but some pre-Nats games, right? We are really trying to get into some of the Mono Earth stuff, as well as what are some of the cards and maybe deck choices that we could use to get over this, right? Mono Earth was ultimately not the winner, which we know, but was definitely the highest played deck in over the weekend at both the LCQ and on for the actual championship North American qualifier. So yeah, and it's now this list is probably a little different from everyone else's. I think this one is still playing the Hytho, which I'm gonna go for it right here. And actually I end up for the Minfilia. And it really is Emmett that made this matchup. It's really Emmett that made this deck that much better, right? Like, Mono Earth has been around for a little bit now. If you guys remember, on the channel we were playing Mono Earth Monsters for a while last 2 sets ago, and then Wolves came around, and that was just a deck that pushed Mono Earth out of the way, right? But now that Emmett can get backups, do combos, and kind of just give you that much more value while playing all of these cards, and just a fantastic Surger, right? Gets everything in the deck. Gets it, in Minfilia, you get that. You can get your Ingus, Une, Shadow Lord, pretty much any of these big pieces that we'd always play one of sometimes, or even, a little extra to, kind of be match specific, right? But Emmett fixes all that in like a single game. And so the test here was for us to figure out if Ice Earth, this is obviously an updated version and a little like off meta, right? Because we're playing the Flan package, which we saw do good at one of these, Spain events. I think it was. It's one of those Spain, Italy events, and I think this got first or second. I don't actually remember. By the time this hits the channel, I'll have the deck lists in there on the bottom, or at least the Flan one. But yeah, and so Mono Earth always used to lose to Ice and Ice Earth, right? And so this is actually one of the cool combos that I like. Ice. What I like this list doing is responding with Juggler on your opponent's turn, and then Luso won't die here because he gets plus 4k in Brave whenever a standard unit enters the field. And this is one of the cool things that if you guys don't already do when you're playing at your locals or with your testing buddies, just build these decks. Whatever it is, net decking isn't a term in this game that matters anymore, right? Like, you have to be able to understand why they had the success with that, with these decks, and understand why play it at all, right? And two things are going to happen when you guys do that, right? You're going to learn a lot more about your matchups, and again why they played this, but also you're going to learn sick new combos like this one, like Luso Juggler. That's just going to be helpful all the time, and now you're also going to like know it when you see it, right? You're not going to walk into it like I did. I even I know I saw him search the Juggler, but he didn't have to. But I still didn't make that connection, right? I could have tried to baited it out, maybe, but it didn't work out for me. So, showing off here that it's already off to a bad start for me. I haven't really seen many backups. I kind of just drew into. I have the Tyro, but I drew into the Epitaph. So it's taking me a little longer to set up, which is one of the crux of playing Mono Earth, right? If you don't see those backups, your Ingus isn't cheaper, your Leo doesn't do his thing, you can't play all these fancy cards, right? So just going into Emmett again, and looking at the state of the game here, I said, you know what? I'm gonna Hytho. I think I can get away with it here. He doesn't. He just blew a Prish. You know, he's gonna end up with 5 and no Earth out of his hand, so I don't suspect the Toto. It's a reach, I know, but again, we're in a bad hand, right? We're in a bad situation, and so I'm trying to see what I can get away with, right? The Emmet actually killing the Luso this time because he doesn't have the Juggler, and again, now I've forced Tacos here into a situation where he has to figure out whether he's going to answer it or just develop board and let me get away with it. But right, anyway, what I was getting into is that when you build these other decks and you learn these other combos, it helps you overall in your deck building. And I think that's very important. And I think and I'm sure people do this, but if you're not doing it, is why I wanted to bring it up, right? Again, this is some pre-nats testing that we did here. And so I think this is actually a round 1 in the tournament in one of our locals that I didn't get to finish recording because I ran out of space on my phone, and so I'm deciding to just use it for some post feature match content here, and the Flan deck was actually a lot better than we thought. It still took a lot to keep up, right? And I think in a different game where I, Claris into Epitaph into Minor turn 3, right? Into Leatherworker by turn 3 or 4, it's like the game's a little different, right? I forced myself to have to, get value out of this situation. And again, it doesn't. Tacos here didn't have the exact answer, right? So you can kind of tell this that he's trying to find a solution or he's trying to fish for something, and this is good data for me, right? When I'm seeing this, because normally when you set up a situation like this, your opponent answers it immediately, right? They know it's a clear line. Sometimes it's just which is the most efficient way. I'm gonna look up this. I look up this Flan because this Flan is a little awkward for me, honestly. I don't know what it does here, and I couldn't tell you what it does now, honestly. But the point is that I believe he has to break the Flan and do a pay and like remove Flans. Put Flan in the break zone, choose a forward duel it, but you can do an ice and remove 3 Flans from the break zone. From the game and choose a duel forward break it. You can only use this ability during your main phase and if Flan is in the break zone. So we know he has that Flan, 1 Flan in the break zone, so I don't see how he's removing them. But yeah, so he didn't have the out, like I said. I go ahead and Hytho into Une, Mont, and Leo, which is just crazy. Again, I see no backups, right? The value is there, of course. So we're gonna bounce the. I think it's the Nagmadala there. Mont will grab the wool, and yeah, now I can just start playing the rest of the game, right? And this is a big thing, but again, I know the deck. I could be running into. He could still draw the Shantoto at any point. He already Lusoed, so I know there's no limit break Shantoto coming out, so you're just gonna try to catch up here as best as we can, and play out, right? I don't remember if this version had the Chelenka, which I probably could have searched out better here to deal with these monsters and all that. Knowing that I'm playing against the monster deck, obviously I have the Leo on board. Playing the Chelenka would have been, or searching the Chelenka would have been a better option for the following turns if I'm able to. So Wool's going to come in for the first point of damage, hitting a Knight, nothing too important. Prish is going to come in here and just make things more complicated for me. I believe he duels. I don't remember what he duels, but I think for me the Une is the bigger threat, right? The Une is gonna get me value, but I think he has an answer. I think he ends up having an answer for the Une here. But anyway, so I mean, I think at the end of the day, we realized this Flan deck was a little. It has some legs for sure, but I think the matchups are too um, polarizing, right? And then that was the big thing with Mono Earth, right? You were able to play anything into it, but there was always that tipping point in every game where you had to burn everything just to deal with the immediate board, while they were and they can do reassemble that same board state turn after turn after turn. We saw it at nationals. We saw it in a lot of the mirror matches. I'm sure a lot of players played out that mirror match too, right? It's just it's choosing when to do the board wipe and when to just push the game. I think Hunter did it the best. Also, I think one of the times on there. So Tacos is dropping Edward here, forcing me to discard. I opt to get rid of the Leo since we already have one. We're hoping a Leather Worker, and I have Ingus, Titan, and Mist Dragon in hand. But yeah, again, he's gonna go here for the Flan. He's dulling. So this is how you use it, by the way. You have to, yeah. So you dull it, and then you have to yeah. So you broke it to dull it, and then he removes paid ice, and then remove those 3 Flans to choose a dull for breaking. Obviously, it can be a copy of himself as long as it's the name Flan. And I'm choosing to tighten the Prish here so I can push for damage next turn. Or this turn, sorry. Choosing to hold the Leather Worker here because I figured at this point I've only seen 4 backups. I've gone through at least 10 cards out of the deck. I should start to see some of these soon. And I don't know if that I didn't realize that was the wrong mentality going into this. Sometimes I know it's best to just wait. Sorry, let me fix that. Sometimes I feel like it's not always best to wait for that value, and sometimes you just have to start developing, because every time you wait, every turn you wait, you're still effectively paying more CP in general than you would have when you saved on casting these for free. And I've seen this a lot at, watching games and commentating Nats, that it was just weird like that. I'm noticing that Tacos doesn't have a lot of Earth backups here, so in my head I'm thinking he's waiting for the Toto, or he just hasn't seen him either, right? He's just floating like I am, but he is searching for the Flan again to start, having that effect, whatever this deck does, right? The combo, the control piece to this deck. I mean, even though I have these bodies on board, he still has the board development advantage, I think. Again, one Toto really ruins the whole deck, right? The whole game right now. I would need to at least 2 to 3 turns to set up again, or finally get to where I need to. And I'm just waiting. I'm really just waiting to see when that Toto hits. So drop in a Flan here, forcing me to discard. Again, trying to keep the summon and the backup in my hand. Une, you gotta go Une. Pitching 4 here, 5 for a Physalis. I think he only gets 1 effect here. I believe it's choosing to keep the Warrior of Light down, right? Because the Warrior yeah, I had to confirm it wasn't 2 or less like some of the other ice here, and that's an important thing, right? Like, if you guys, we play all the time, but I need to refresh the memory bank, right? And of course I draw a Toto this time, what I don't need. I forget some of the other things that we were testing here, and I think probably the main reason I haven't done it yet is I don't remember if the Luso is in my break zone at this time, right? Because the main problem we had for Nats was choosing a deck that didn't have that shared the limit break, right? That was the biggest problem. And so going over it right now, you notice that I didn't. I had Chilenka, I had Kuja, I had Clouds, right? That was sorry, the Yuri for the Chilenka, the Clouds, and again, the biggest thing was wanting to, in my head, Luso was in deck A or deck B, whatever, however you want to put it, and so I wasn't able to do what he did and just play the Luso out here. But again, I held on to the limit break, didn't need it. Just I said I can't wait any more turns, right? If I see the rest of the leather workers, then we'll just get it. We hardcast the leather worker, choosing to trade here with the Physalis. I didn't mind just partying attacking just to try to get something out of that because we had the Leo, the next Leo in hand. Yeah, there's the Flan coming out. Again, I'm double checking because I'm like, wait a minute. And that's the thing, right? When you take a deck like this, your opponent is always in that state of I can't know, I don't understand what's coming at me sometimes, and that's good, right? And that's the best thing about this game, right? The deck building, the element of surprise. Still, yes, I could know every card in the database, but I don't know every combo. Not everyone can piece everything together, right? That's why the collection of FF decks and Materia Hunter exists, right? So we can absorb as much of that information as you can. Sometimes now, I'll tell you now, if I see this Flan deck, I know exactly what I'm, playing into, and what to expect. This game, honestly, again, I think the biggest thing was the backups, right? It forced me to, take the game longer than it needed to, I think. And that was the biggest thing. Trying to look for my best option. I'm realizing I'm running out of forwards now, because I've had to. I saw most of them at the beginning of the game, and I've had to pitch them for other things. We end up getting the wool there because we have the Leo in hand, and then next turn we redevelop that board. But yeah, like I was saying, again, this matchup came because of we were looking for alternatives for deck A or deck B, or at least for me anyway. I was helping. This is how I helped my team, right? I was trying to see which way we could play Mono Earth with a few card changes, things that didn't interrupt the limit break. And so I think for me, I think there's one Titus in here, so I wasn't. I was assuming that deck A was, I can't even remember at this point, but it didn't need Titus, right? It didn't need Titus, but it needed Luna Freya, because I don't believe I put Luna Freya in this one, but it needed Luso as well. And so, we're messing around with that stuff. Obviously, this is all going to change as we go on, but it's going to be important. The limit breaks are going to increase, and I don't know how many more sets it might increase actually, with the FF16 icons and the priming thing coming up. There is no way to know what's going to be more important, but the limit break's not going anywhere. And again, this only really applies to the 2-deck format anyway, or any alternating deck format, anything that requires you 2 decks that you can't share cards. So unfortunately, not much you can do out of that turn. We're feeling like we're going to have a good turn here, be able to set up our board. I end up pitching the Titan for the Leo, dropping the wool. Always making sure that no response. But again, still no backups. For battle, choosing to drop the Juggler, dull the Warrior of Light. That's 2 times I run into the Juggler. I think the Juggler is a fantastic card, honestly, and it's one of the best things that Ice has going for it, which is kind of sad to say, but also not bad, right? Like in an aggressive deck, when you're making your opponent discard and you're trying to control the board, those turns where they set up kind of like I did just right now just really throws things off. The problem is obviously the replayability and the locking yourself out in your back row like he just did, right? I'm not saying there's nothing to burn. Like that Kuja we used to play back in Opus 5 or 6, I think it was. It just says eat up 2 ice cards, 2 ice backups to play him onto the field or something. I could see stuff like that almost coming. I wish we had more effects like that, honestly. Because that would definitely help out a lot sometimes. Playing mono water, playing mono earth, and even playing now and watching this deck, right, mono ice. It's things like that are useful. And I'm seeing now that he's locked out, right? He's got the 5 ice backups. No ways that I know that he can lift them or trade them for the Toto or earth backups. I honestly don't even remember if there's earth backups in this thing. But he's got options, and we've only seen like the Luso here, and he's trying to come up with his limit break ideas now. I think ice on a whole nother level just needs to play more into their limit breaks, which is great. Kujo is a great one. Kate Sith is definitely an underrated one. So he's going to take a damage. He has to discard a card. And then he Dolan freezes 2 things. He's targeting the Minfilia and the Tyro. And he's at 5 damage now. And I know now is when Cecil's S is live, I believe. So we will go into. Let me read Cecil for you guys. Yeah, and he enters the field, discard a card. When he enters the field, you may receive a point damage. When you do so, choose 2 characters to live and freeze them, and a damage 5, Dark Flare. Deal 10,000 damage to all the forge your opponent controls, and Cecil deals you a point of damage. He also dropped the Laswell here to keep the Warrior of Light down, but I'm finally seeing my backups. Which is the worst time, right? I needed, more forwards or more options here. Choosing to kill the Cecil before he draws the S, hoping he didn't have it. And sure enough, he would have drawn it next turn. Oh man, yeah, and that's wild, right? Like, if I hadn't, and this is what I'm saying, right? Like some of these, so I know it's not traditional, right? But the Cloud isn't always in the mono earth list, but I'm glad I had it in this moment because I would have lost, right? The game would have literally just gone the other way for me there. And that's the thing about tech cards, right? They're good until they're not, or they're not until you need them, right? And so, and that was the best thing about Mono Earth. Mono Earth could do whatever it wanted. Like, I believe, so I know there was a few slight differences among all of them, and it came down to how many Unes you were playing. Did you have the Garnet or the Bosch? Did you have Hytho or Shadow Lord or 2 Genova Synthesis, and or a 1-in-1 combo of something else? But the backups were always the same: the Triple Claris, the Vincent. Ryan Chen pretty much stabilized that backup line when he took Orlando, I think, early on in the season. And Kate Sith coming down to finish up the limit breaks here. All my backups are gonna be frozen this turn. and I'm going to discard a card. And I guess, you know, part of this deck needed the Toto, right, to just answer stuff. But his plan was to be on 5 ice backups no matter what. Because Kate is pretty sick. If you guys haven't casted a Kate Sith yet, I implore you to build mono ice and just try it out. It doesn't have to be this Flan list. It just, you know, slap a couple ice together. Just make it a pauper deck if you have to, with just like L limit break cards, and then just, you know, get to the point where you can cast a Kate Sith, because it is fantastic. So he's warping another Prish here. Oh no, I think he's hard casting Prish here, right? Because he needs bodies. Yeah, and he's just dull and freezing my whole board here. Gonna attack with Laswell, force me to discard again. Leave 4 blockers up, and just an awkward. And again, you know, and this is what I'm talking about, right? Even he had to go handless to kind of set up this board. I still have Warrior of Light out and Leo out. He's at 6 damage. Just play the Ingus here. Check the deck for anything else. There's the Genova. We get it for next turn. I don't think I have enough to cast it here. So we go for the Mott play to try to push. Just do the same thing, right? I have to build bodies while advancing the game here. Getting rid of the Titus, pitch the other Ingus and Claris. Just, you know, spread them out so I can confirm powers. I know here I'm going to take down at least 3 forwards because he has to. He has to block, right? Unfortunately, so swing, kill the. Normally I would obviously kill the Laswell, but I have to kill the blockers here, right? I need to make sure I get enough. I get as many of the characters out of the way. And I just readjust my board there. Don't worry, I do not attack with the mod. Yeah, fortunately, I think that's it. Yeah, goes ahead and scoops it. We have our awkward moment, and that's the game. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this feature match. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, stay tuned for more feature matches and more of my annoying voice later.